How's it going, Ricky?
Yo, happy new year, brother.
Happy New Year to you too, man. How are you?
Look at us, man. We look completely different.
I know, different to the last time we spoke, right?
I know, man. How are you feeling about it all?
I'm feeling okay about it. Like at first, I actually watched your video today, the one where you were kind of like reviewing, the last week, having like after shaving it off. A lot of the points I can agree on. So the main thing I noticed, so when I did it, instantly I was like, nah, I regret it. I was like, what have I done? I was like, what have I done? It was fun because like there was other things, like the razor I used, the twig razor, right? I was really interested to use that, and it was really good. Like weight, it cut really well. So I was, that was fun. I just was like enjoying the moment, right? Because I pumped myself up. I'd had a few beers as well, which I never do. Like I'm
I
pretty
wish I
much,
did that.
yeah, I pretty much never drink, but I was just like, oh, I'll have a couple of beers, and then I had an extra one just because I was like, when you catch the buzz, so to speak. I was like, oh, I'll have another one. That'll be fun.
Get that adrenaline pumping.
Exactly. And then yeah, straight afterwards, I was like, okay, I'm not sure. My wife was like, oh, you look younger. Like, it didn't really say much, really. She was just like, oh, you look younger. Like, yeah, it looks fine. That was about it. Next day, we went out to take some pictures. Obviously, we live by the sea here, so we went out for a walk and we were like on the coast. So a lot of my Instagram shots are like, I like being outdoors. I like the
Yeah.
sea and stuff. So I'm stood on the rocks and I'm looking out into the distance, and I've got the beard blowing in the breeze. And obviously, I couldn't do that, but I was trying to do the same sort of like pictures, but I just had a completely different look and it just didn't work. So this sounds a bit pathetic, but I literally taken all these pictures and I was just scrolling through them and I was like, no, I was like, what have
Oh,
I
man.
done? I was just like, this is not it. This is not the look. I was just like, what have I done? That was the first time when I was thinking like, nah, I regret this. But the actual look itself, I'm fine with. That's just a small thing. And the biggest thing I've noticed for like, for example, tonight, what is it? It's like 8:30.
Mhm.
I'll go up after we've had a good chat, and I'll have a shower, and I'll get into bed, and like it's those times when I appreciate not having a beard because you can get out of the
The
shower,
combing and
dry
all
off.
that.
Yeah, I don't have to do any of that. And I don't know about you, but I had to really like get in there and dry it, because if I didn't dry it properly, it would get like itchy. Like when I first shaved it, I had a little bit of a patch here where like
Mhm.
obviously I'd just kept it, like I hadn't been drying it well enough, and
Yeah,
just little things like that that you have to kind of manage when you have a beard that you don't really think about. And just not
exactly.
having that stuff is so much, it's just so good.
I know that's definitely something that I've took away from it as well. I'm just like, you know what? It takes away so much time and maintenance because
Yeah.
as much as it's cool to have that big beard when you've dried it or straightened it or whatever routine you do, it is so much easier to just be like, okay, I've got this stubble, I'm gonna hop in the shower and that's that.
And there is a point, I've had some people say to me like, oh well, you talk about like the simplicity of the bold look, but then you go and make things more difficult for yourself by having a big beard to maintain. And they kind of got a point. Like, it's fun to an extent, like when you buy different beard oils and things like that, and you can style it and have it there. It is awesome. But then the buzzed and the shaved look is just so simple, like you can't disregard it. So
Yeah.
I've definitely appreciated that. And everyone said like you do look younger without a beard. You
Mhm.
people definitely look younger without a beard. So most people said that to me. They're like, "Oh, you look a lot younger." Someone was like, "You could see your smile more now." And because a lot of the people I work with have never seen me like look like this.
Mhm.
I had my beard for like 3 years.
Mhm.
Which is crazy. Like I was pretty
From
much
the
like
time you
five.
started the channel, wasn't it? Around
Yeah,
that
it was
time.
like, I want to say like 4 months into the channel, maybe I was like, having something like this, and I was like, I'm gonna grow my beard out, make for a good video and interesting content. And it was a big reason was because I was getting asked to talk on topics like minoxidil and stuff like that.
Mhm.
There's no way I was prepared to like try Propecia. I wasn't gonna use minoxidil for the hair,
Yeah.
but I knew I could use the whole minoxidil on the beard was a thing. So I
Mhm.
was like, okay, well, I don't feel comfortable talking about something if I've had like zero experience. So
Yeah.
that's why, like, for example, I've done the video on Propecia and it's titled very clearly like my opinion or the reasons why I didn't take it. Not like 10 things you need to know about alopecia, because I haven't used it, so it's wrong for me to comment on that. But
Yeah.
The whole beard thing, I wanted to talk more about that. And it's good, you know. I also, I think for you, you were the same. Like I knew the time was coming that I needed to shave off, because I have to represent for the people that maybe can't grow the facial hair, you know, the young guys in their early 20s, late teens. You know, I had nothing there. Like you said, you've been blessed with the good beard genetics, and I could see that in your like day 2 or something. You have that like dark, thick, like Jason Statham. Like it's not even a shadow. It's almost like just all of this is like a totally different color. Like day
Yeah,
2, day 3.
it
Yeah,
shapes up
which is
pretty easily. So it's like even when I have the beard, I don't have to line it up that much. It's
no, which is
luckily
awesome.
I've got that, minus this patch that I formed for some reason.
I saw that. Yeah, dude, that looks a bit like alopecia areata, you know, which is quite common actually. It's quite common. I don't know if you've been under some stress or something lately. I'm sure we all are at some point. But I don't know if you know, I had that behind my ear like one time, like pretty soon after I shaved it. I think I got a picture of it somewhere. But yeah, just like a random patch here, just like completely no hair. It
Really.
grew back, and it usually does, I think. So I'm sure you'll be all right.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I don't know if I had it at the time I had a beard, and because it was obviously so much length to it, maybe it was there and it just kind of grew over. But God knows, we'll see in a few months when I eventually decide to grow the beard back. I mean, what are you thinking? Are you going to keep it for a little while yet, or?
I think I was trying to think about this today, like, because I was in my head, I was thinking, what's the optimal? Because I obviously shave my head like with a razor, right? But I was thinking, it's the most simple look. Like, if you want to go with the shave head, it's got to be like the zero. Like, buy yourself a cheap pair of clippers or whatever, and just, I don't know what, once a week, like go over the beard and go over the hair, like the same thing, you know. And then
Yeah.
when it all kind of like goes out a bit more, then just keep going like this, like once a week. That has to be like the most simple routine, if you like, if you want to be a bold guy. Basically, I think I'm going to be rocking something like this for a decent while. You know, maybe I can think of some different ideas to speak on, or different styles. I thought about trying the like, so I shave this down but keep like
The
something
little
here,
goatee.
you know, where it grows in like stronger here. Just things like that I never really tried like in the early stages, because when I first started growing my beard 3 years ago, like it wasn't as strong as it is now. My beard came quite late, so I didn't play around with like shorter styles and that. It was like nothing, and then I grew like a pretty big beard. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I'll have fun with it for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat for now. I mean, initially I was thinking I was just going to do it, get to a point where I was comfortable with it, because that was my whole thing. I had a beard for so long, similar to yourself. I was like, I got so comfortable with having that beard that I was just like, it somehow creeped into my head that I need to have that beard in order to pull off the bold look. And
Yeah.
that's when I was just like, I'm doing my viewers and supporters wrong if I continue, because then I'm like, all these guys who are out there saying I can't grow a beard, Ricky, you can grow an awesome beard, but I can't. So what should I do? I thought the only thing I can do is really prove the point by doing it myself, getting it
Yeah.
rid of it myself, and challenging my own comfort zone, and obviously, hopefully,
Absolutely.
reassuring other people that you can pull it off. It's not a be all end all that you have to have a beard or you have to have a certain type of head shape to pull off a bald head, because there'll always be that but involved when it comes to hair loss. I think
Absolutely.
it could be the fact that, oh, but my head shape isn't this shape, or my beard doesn't grow in this certain way. But there's always going to be a but. If you've got that negative mindset, there'll always be something that you can place as a barrier in the way of you actually getting to a place of self-acceptance.
It was definitely the same for me, you know, an element of getting out of my comfort zone, which is how you learn, how you grow, right? You just got to keep pushing yourself into the things that you thought you couldn't do. And then when you kind of realize like, oh, it's actually okay, you know, that's another thing ticked off the list that you don't need to worry about anymore. A big one that I forgot to mention, and you spoke about it in your video. I've really let myself go over the last year, you know, body wise, man. Like this year, especially because I've been so focused on BaldCafe and things like that.
Yeah.
For the first time, and I don't want to make that sound like an excuse. It's not so much an excuse, more of like really interesting to see how my mindset has changed. Working out used to be like a number one priority for me, you know, so I would just drop other things and I would work out. when I went on holiday, I would make sure we were at a hotel that had a gym,
Had a
or
gym,
I
yeah.
knew I could go to a gym. And at the time I thought, oh, people are going to think I'm mental, but this is what I like, so I enjoy it. So I'm going to keep doing it. And now I'm just not in that same place anymore. Like, it will be now, let's say what it's like coming up 9 o'clock, let's say an hour earlier after dinner.
Mhm.
I'll be maybe just on YouTube or looking at this video, thinking of ideas, whatever,
Mhm.
editing. And I would prioritize that over working out. And when that compounds over like a year and a half, dude, like when I go upstairs in a minute and have a shower and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, dude, come on,
that
like
that
sort it out.
self-loathing kicks in.
Yeah. And to get to the point, sorry, having shaved off my beard, that, dude, I don't know what it was, but like I suddenly like had way more focus on how I was looking. And I was like, what? I can't. That was the first time when I really realized like how I'd let myself go. And
Mhm.
I think you had the exact same realization, right? And I was
Yep.
like, this is mad. Like, I'd obviously been like, okay, body's not looking great, but hey, we're rocking the beard. You
Mhm.
take that away, and I was like, dude, no beard. I look terrible. Like, what have I done? Like,
It's
I don't
kind
look
of
terrible, but not nowhere near to what I was.
Exactly. I had the experience with. Luckily, I thought my face would be a lot fatter, so I thought I'd have a bit more chubbier cheeks and whatnot. But for some reason,
Now you,
I haven't put the weight on my face, but it's all
yeah,
gone to my midsection.
yeah,
So I think when you have that massive beard, as you said, you feel like you don't look as bad, maybe because you've got such a bigger face, you've got that much more proportion to your face that it kind of matches the body then when you've got a
yeah.
bit of puppy fat, I guess. And
Yeah,
then
it's weird.
when it gets to that point where you've got nothing there, it's just naked, and then you look down and you're like, dude, it feels like you've got someone else's body, and it just doesn't match your face. At least that's how it felt for me, because I felt
Yeah,
like I had such a small face. And I had that same epiphany as you. I was just like, this is a wake up call. I really need to just
yeah,
kind of focus on, because I think the last time that I was anywhere close to clean shaven when I had this kind of length, I'd say, was 2016. So very early days into the channel when I was kind of on and off YouTube. But I remember that time I used to be very much like yourself. Working out used to be my priority. So it would be, go to work, maybe a bit of socializing here and there, and then it would just be training.
yeah,
That would be my thing, because I wanted to make sure I looked good, because it gave me that obviously mental stability. It made me feel confident in myself as well. This year being my busiest year on YouTube, I've experienced what you're talking about, in the sense that it almost feels like, and you don't want to make excuses, but it almost feels like you don't have the time sometimes, because you're so focused on the next idea, the next video you have to record, keeping up that consistency. And this is the first year I've really experienced that, so I can completely relate to you in that
yeah,
sense. But yeah, going back to that point, it's definitely a thing that I definitely want to focus on my fitness a lot more now, just because of that fact. But
yeah.
yeah, hopefully this will be that year.
Yeah, no, dude, me too. Like I've made some changes, and so far, I mean, we're only on day 3 of the new year, but I literally bought a pull-up bar, and I agreed with my boss that I could have this pull-up bar at work. And so what I do is, like, when I get in, I'll do like, I don't know, 20 pull-ups or something. I'll go around the corner and do some push-ups, and I've just been doing that like throughout the day, rather than wait until I get home and I've had dinner and I've walked the dogs and it's like 8:30 and I've got to go to bed soon. And do
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And then I'm like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow, or oh, I'll get back on it tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. I just keep, it's like 2 weeks before I do anything. And
Mhm.
shocking, to be honest, because I never in my wildest dreams thought I would ever think like that. Like, I was so like in love with working out and going to the gym and writing down my programs and stuff. And I used to see people's comments like, oh yeah, like I used to be like that, but I've like not really been into it anymore, or it's not a priority for me. And I used to be like, how does someone just stop working out? Or,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, how does that happen? I couldn't comprehend how someone would think like that until like you're kind of in this situation. I can't remember. Are we the same age? We're pretty much.
Yeah, I'm 29, 30 in August.
Okay, so I'm 30 in January, right? So we're pretty much the same age.
Yeah.
And I think 100% also things start to slow down, like in terms of like what I eat and stuff like that, mate.
Mhm.
It definitely catches up with you.
For
Not
sure.
like ridiculous, like I'm 60, and do you know what I mean? But I definitely noticed that now I could probably get away with eating a lot less than I did when I was like 22, 23, you
Mhm.
know?
Dude,
So that's a
I get a
factor.
stomach ache. I get a stomach ache off a freaking chocolate bar nowadays. I eat one
Yeah,
dairy milk and I'm just sitting there like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the day's done.
Yeah. No. So that's a big priority, for this year.
How does your wife feel now in regards to your beard after a few days? As the shock kind of gone?
Yeah, the shock's gone. I think she says it looks best like maybe with like 2 weeks growth or 3 weeks. So she was like, I just grow it out a bit more and just keep it like that. I've always been quite like stubborn and stick to what I want to do. So
Mhm.
I think I'll just stick with something like this for a while.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. She seems okay with it. She I don't know. She doesn't really comment on it much. She wasn't like, no, you need to grow it back or anything like that. No. How about yours?
Oh my god! It doesn't even look like you. Holy shit! It doesn't even look like.
This is anticlimactic. Here's me thinking
Yeah.
I'm gonna come down and it's gonna be like a wow, you look even better. There's gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah,
some like emotional, amazing, inspirational moment, and it's just like cut music. You
yeah,
look like a freaking toddler. Few days have passed. I mean, first time I gave her a kiss, she was like, "It feels like I'm cheating on you. It feels like I'm kissing someone else."
yeah.
And I
That's
was
what my
like,
wife said. Yeah, she was like, it feels like I'm in bed with someone else.
and she goes to me. I asked her, doesn't it bother you? Doesn't it feel better the fact that now it's a smooth kiss? You ain't
No
getting that.
hair.
You ain't getting that beard in your face. And she's like, I prefer to get my face itched by the beard, than
Really?
whatever this is. And I'm like, great. I don't want to
That's
hear no
surprising.
complaints again then.
Yeah, yeah, that was surprising because to be a bit crude, kind of when we were kissing and stuff like that, like I would be pulling like hair out of my beard, out of my mouth sometimes.
Hmm.
And that's not sexy. That's not what you want in the moment. And so I'm kind of glad that I don't have that at the moment. That's
Hmm.
that's a big plus.
Consistently twirling up that mustache in the
Oh, dude,
middle of a
yeah.
romantic moment.
Yeah, I was always like this, constantly like this. And it was weird that a couple of days after I'd done it, before I go to work, I usually neck a glass of water and I
Hmm.
have to like prepare my mouth. And I found myself doing that, but I didn't need to. It's funny.
I think now that I'm sitting here now, I do actually quite like the look. I don't mind it. I'm glad that after shaving it off, I thought I'd have aged a lot, but I haven't aged that much in the last 5 years, which is good.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying that aspect to it and just feeling younger, I guess. I guess it's a nice, refreshing change. And I mentioned this in my last video, but I mentioned the fact that it feels like we've come full circle from when I shaved my head. That same initial feeling that I had where I was like, whoa. And then a few days pass and you look in the mirror a few times and you're like, it's not too bad. Could I live with it? I guess I could live with it. And then the more time goes on, I mean, it took me a good year to really start loving my bald head. But in terms of this new look, in terms of my facial hair, I was just like, this looks all right. I could rock this.
You know what? I just kind of like the challenge. Like I like the whole thing of getting out of my comfort zone and any way that I can do that every once in a while. I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge. The whole thing that people will say when they do say like, oh, bald guys will be at a disadvantage with women or with work or whatever. I say rise to the challenge. If
Mhm.
so, then so be it. Like I will succeed in those areas despite this supposed disadvantage. I've always kind of thought like that, and I kind of enjoy the challenge because if you're doing something like that, like shaving off your beard, moving to a different country, starting a new job, anything like that, shaving off your hair, those are things that you're either gonna learn from it, right? So that you can take that with you to the next challenge, or it's gonna play out well. And of course, I had to represent for my bold guys, especially the young ones who aren't rocking a full beard, to
Exactly.
be like, it's cool. You can do it just as well.
Hmm. Exactly. I mean, that's part of the reason I wanted to do it as well, just to inspire those guys who, and again, to kill off that butt mentality. I know I keep using that, terminology, but there's so many guys who do kind of put that barrier in front of them that I can't do it because of my head shape. I can't do it because I can't grow a beard. I can't do it because I'm under 5'10", 5'10", or under 6 feet, whatever it may be. I think, like you said, it's the fact that you got to rise to the challenge, because in this world, there's guys out there who may be considered by society's standards 10 out of 10. They should be able to get any girl they want. They should be able to get any career they want because of the way they look, because of their, physical attributes. And they might go home and look in the mirror and think they're the worst looking dude in the world. They have no confidence when it comes to speaking to women or socializing or just going out there and having self-belief in what they want to do. But then you might get the complete opposite. You might get the guy who's bald, who doesn't have a beard, who's got wonky eyebrows or whatever else, who has a dad bod, and he's going out there meeting women, he's succeeding in life, he's prospering, he's got a family, he's doing everything that the stereotypes and the stigmas are saying that he should not be able to do. And I'm just saying that if that's what we got to take example of, the people who are actually doing.
Yeah, I say, do it in spite of those challenges. And when you achieve those things, just take like the utmost pride in the fact you've done something that people are telling you you shouldn't have been able to do, or you couldn't do, or maybe you previously thought you were unable to do, probably because of those people saying so, and take pride in it. Reflect on those positives and reflect on the things that you have achieved, because naturally we're always looking at, ways that we can improve and things like that, or things we're not doing right. But it's just as important to like focus on things that you do have and you are doing right.
I think one thing I like about, and it's quite similar with both of us, I mean, we talked about this last time, but the topic of taking action early, and this is something I wanted to bring up to you. When you initially went through, obviously, your hair loss stage, and, I remember you saying you were sitting in your classroom at the time. When were you teaching in China at the time, or were you...
Yeah, I was teaching and studying, yeah, but yeah.
That particular day, I remember, I think you said you were studying and you used to sit at the front to answer all the questions. I remember this story.
Did, yeah.
And that particular day, because you would notice the hair loss progressing as it was, you sat at the back. And I think you said something along the lines of, can I live like this for the next 5 years? Yeah. And, that's kind of what sprung you to take that action early. And it was the same for me. When I looked in the mirror, I was like, you know what? If I can't learn to live without hair now, how am I going to be able to live without it down the line? How am I going to be able to live without it when I don't have a choice but to live without it? And that's what drove me to do it. So I think we had quite a similar experience in that sense, where we both had quite a drive to take action early. And I think that's a good message for a lot of guys out there as well.
Definitely. Do you know what one of the biggest things for me was as well is when I was looking online and I was like, even my wife was sharing like posts with me about hair transplants and hair systems and things like that. I was like, all these people are saying that if you're young, then I was like, what, 25, then this is how you should be dealing with it, right? And especially online and stuff, I only saw a small percentage of guys who were saying like, listen, if this is getting you down, it's okay to just whack it off, shave it off. Whack it off is weird, right? Shave it off. Hopefully you can do some editing on that. Shave it off and just rock it, and you'll be absolutely fine. Just accept it. And going back to the whole challenge thing, I saw that as like a challenge, and I wanted to go against what everyone was saying that I should do. I remember walking out onto the street, like standing as tall as I could, my head like held as high as I could, and just honestly taking pride, because I was like, there's so many people that are assuming that this is something I should be covering up and not accepting and hiding from and feeling down about. I've done the complete opposite. And I felt really proud of myself. I did. Like, I felt really proud of myself. And I took so much confidence from that, almost in an egotistical way, quite honestly, speaking frankly. I was like, I just felt like really like a boss. Like, I felt powerful, the fact I'd done it, and I was like, I'm not gonna let this stop me. And that helped a lot, that helped a lot in the early days. But yeah, man, just briefly on that whole point of how long can I live with this? Like, going from what I was before the hair loss and how I felt about myself to how low I felt during the hair loss, it was shocking to me. When I finally like took away the distractions and the emotions and reflected and really like sat myself down and thought about it. And I was just like, dude, why are you feeling like this? You can't let this beat you. You can't let this stop you. And like, even small things, like I said, like stop you enjoying the things that you were enjoying, like enjoying my Chinese classes. It just built from there, to be honest. I was like, yeah, almost having a conversation with myself. I was like, yeah, like, I'm not going to let this stop me. Like, I'm going to just own it, and no one's going to say anything to me to make me feel bad about the fact that I am owning it, you know? And
Exactly.
honestly, from that point, I've just run with it, and I've never ever thought any differently or looked back, you know, never have. That was important, especially in the early days when my colleagues and that were like, why have you done that? Like, you looked a lot better with your hair. Like, when you're going to grow it back? And I was just like, I'm not. Like, my hair was falling out, and it felt terrible. Like, this is it now, you know? And that's
This
it.
is
And then
it.
that's it. End of conversation. But yeah, dude, I remember those early days. I'll never forget those 100%.
I know, like I said, it took me about a good year to really. I know
That's interesting to me,
it
but
took
I
me a
know
good
that's
year.
common.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I shaved my head and I'm going about the buzzing and I'm seeing how it actually looks for the first time ever, and I can't help but just laugh because that's the only way I'm getting through it, even though inside I'm crying.
Yeah.
And then I remember the day after, I'd posted a couple photos, shared it with a couple of family and friends, and I got good responses. No one said anything bad. I remember going to the gym the day after though, and in hindsight, people were probably just looking at me because they were just looking at me. But I remember I was in my tank top, I was carrying around my weights, I was doing my weights, and I just felt eyes on me for some reason. And it could have been down to anything. It could have been that they were looking at the person behind me. It could have been that they were just looking at me generally, or then you get dudes who just look at how much other dudes are lifting. It could have been anything, but I felt like an alien for some reason. Because
Really?
I remember seeing, and you know how lighting is in gyms as well. You've got that intense lighting where you can see like your sweat and veins. I remember
When
seeing
you
the
say
veins.
alien, when you say alien, you literally mean like, oh, I look like an alien.
Yeah, because of the shape of my head. I felt like,
Right.
have you seen that film, The Mask? Like, I
Yeah,
felt like
yeah.
I felt like I looked like The Mask, like, because I was
Right.
seeing all these contours in my head and I could see the veins, and I was just like, whoa, this looks weird. This is not how a 24-year-old guy should be looking. And in hindsight, like I said, they were probably looking at my direction or at me for every other reason but the fact that I looked weird. Like,
Yeah.
it might have been the fact that, oh, he looks like a bald badass. Look at him in his tank top with his bald head. Could have been anything, but I guess that's just the kind of thing you go through initially because you're almost trying to wash away those negative thoughts, that stigma that you've been fed. Because I think that's the reason that so many guys go through such a struggle with hair loss or go through these struggles mentally, because they've been fed so much negativity in regards to what the hair loss industry put out there, what people will put out there in YouTube videos. You could have a guy who's watching our videos, they feel inspired, they scroll down to the comments and they see it's over for you, and they have 10 reasons listed why it's over for you, and they'll take away that instead of what we've said. And I think that only makes it that much harder, which is, in hindsight, as a content creator, I know sometimes we might sit here and think, man, we are not doing as good as we should be. We are, because we're stopping people from focusing on those negative comments. We're breaking that stigma, regardless of how little or small it is. We're breaking that stigma, man. And that's why what we do is so important.
Yeah, no, I agree. One thing that I have to be honest about, and I'll never know the answer to, is although I'd like to think I know the answer, because I did that video where I grew my hair out whilst I was in England, right? And I sort of kind of had that like balding experience whilst I was here. But one thing, of course, I will never know is, would I have handled the balding situation differently if I'd have been in here in the UK, maybe in a different job, different people around me? Because obviously when I was out living in China, people used to look at me all the time anyway, because I was different, because I was a foreigner. So I always had that element of like, foreigner, there's a foreigner. So I was used to people looking at me or pointing at me and things like that every day. So I wasn't worried about people looking at me, but I was worried about people noticing the hair loss, like more so my classmates and my colleagues rather than random people. Would I have had a different experience had that been here in England? Would I have shaved it off would it have taken me longer to adjust? I could never know. I can never know the answer to that, unfortunately. But that's why that video where I kind of grew it out again was so important to me, because another reason why I shaved it off early was because I knew where this was going. Like, I knew where it was going to progress to how it kind of is now and worse, right? So I didn't want to see myself like that. I didn't want to see myself looking at it. I wanted it to be on my terms, my choice. I was shaving my head So there was never that. I never saw myself looking like awful and balding and like that horrible image that I had in my mind. So I had to do it where I grew it out, and I went out into town and things like that. It's
It feels
funny,
weird, doesn't it?
it did feel weird. You know, it did feel weird. I didn't pay too much attention, but there was one time I was in town, and there, I don't know what they said. I assumed they were commenting on my balding. There was a group of lads like in some shop. They were like renovating it, right?
Mhm.
And I saw one of them look at me and he said something. I don't know what he said. I was with my wife, but I looked at him and I like nodded, you know, in like a confident way to be like, white wall, like
What are you
say
looking at me
something,
for?
you know, yeah, pretty much. And he just laughed and he was like, oh, like he heard what I said or something. So I don't know what was said, but I assumed they were commenting on my hair. You know, I assumed. I don't know if it was, but yeah, you know, I was thinking like, oh, I wonder if I would have had more moments like that if I had been in the UK when my hair was going, you know, but I'll never know. I'll never know.
That's one for our imagination, I guess. But
Yeah,
I think it was good that you experienced it while you were out in China because, like you said, you had that benefit where you didn't know anyone outside of maybe you know the people you went to class with, etc.
Yeah, and I had fun breaking the stereotype of this like clean cut, handsome foreign man. You know, I kind of was like, I appreciated the fact I was rocking a more like rugged look. To be honest, like I said, I was quite proud of it. But
Thank you so much for joining me today as well,
No,
man.
man.
I'm sure people will be very happy to see us in a video
Yes.
together and
Yes, mate.
many more. It's going to be
Absolutely,
good, man.
man.
Pleasure, Harry. Take care.
sweet, in a bit, mate.
Peace.
Bye bye. Thanks for your time.